Hello, everyone. So let's see. How is everyone doing today? We're going to be looking at sliding windows. So what in the world is a sliding window? Let's see if I have all this the right. Oops. Didn't want that. Okay, that starts to show up. Was experimenting with settings yesterday and moving things around for making my LinkedIn videos because my resume apparently is not that great because I'm starting to get quite a few rejections now. Quite a lot. I'd say almost half of everything I've applied has come back as a rejection. I thought I did that. All right, so what in the world am I saying a sliding window? Not that. Close that. I want paint. All right, so let's look at this. So we're going to use the example of this string. A string in Python is just a collection of letters. Now, what happens if you had a task of seeing how many, I guess I should see if this is fitting in here. All right, there we go. All right, a string of letters. How many times does dad appear in these three letters in this string of letters? Anybody have a good solution of how we can begin to do this? This would be what's called a static sliding window. And the reason why it's called static is because it is not changing. Because we are looking at the first or the occurrence of the same three characters. So we're going to come through here and we're going to check all of these. Oops, well that, okay. I didn't think I had that set up. So we need to check that, then we need to check that, then we need to check this. So if we look right here, we have dad, not dad, dad, not dad, and if we look really close, there's our three, out of this string, there are three occurrences of dad. All right. So how in the world would we begin to do something like this? All right, let me make sure I got Discord enabled so I will hear something. Let me turn my volume up. All right, there we go. Now we'll also get other notifications, but you won't hear it through the audio of the system. I at least have that turned off. But you may hear it because my speakers are actually below the desk because of all the crap. I have a little teeny tiny little workspace. Okay. So we need to create, first let's copy this so we have exactly the same. So string equals DADAD, and then let me move this over here so I can see it. And then DAADAD. Does this look right? DAD, AD, D, AA, DAD. All right, so we can now move over here so the lighting is a touch better. Not a whole lot better. Hello, how are you doing today? All right, so if you're just joining us, we're looking at sliding windows, and this example is going to be what's called a static sliding window, because we're going to be sliding through this string looking at a certain open aspect, certain collection of characters. Let's get this back here. So where should we start to begin to do something like this? Sorry, I just heard a big thud. All right. So we need to iterate. Does everybody here know how to iterate through anything? Because if we think about this, we're going to do these three, then these three, and these three, and these three. So basically, we're iterating through the first point all the way for I in string print I. Actually, let's change this and make this a little bit better. All right. We need to run this, so F9. All right. So as we're going through here, we get each letter. Now, how can we slice through this? So we know slicing, right? So if I do string and I slice this first one, all right, now I want to check 3 characters. So what I do, now how can I convert this? So wait a second. All right, so that works. So how in the world do I make this? How do I automate this? Or how do I make this dynamic for my static window? So let's go ahead and just think about this for a minute. Hey, have a good day. No problem. Do you working tonight?
Yes, I am.
Okay. If I can help you with anything today, let me know. Hey, what time do you want to go to the phone store tomorrow?
What? Like, I think we said 3.
Okay. I just needed a reminder.
Yeah.
That we may need to tweak a little bit because I'll fill you in. Of course. Sorry, guys. Mom may have an appointment tomorrow. So, but we should be able to make both work.
Understood.
All right. Sorry about that, everybody. Like I said, in the morning, it's very busy around here. Okay, so are we going to need a counter, or are we going to need to do something here? Because so we need to figure out a way to go all the way through all of these. So when I do this. But right now, so this is where it makes sense, and we know what we need to do, but we need to turn this. So we did human brain. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do. We did human brain, and we came through here, and we said we look here, we look here, we look here. So out of these 5 characters, we actually have our substring twice out of 5 characters. So now we've got to figure out a way to get this to happen. Now, if I do some sort of counting, so what does this look like? So if I index, do I need to have this as an index? Okay, so wait a second. So I got this to come out with some sort of slicing with indexing. So if I were to do string, what is it? 2. Then 5. I get another dad, but if I do 1 and 4, I do not. So we need to, this is where the subtlety of human brain and Python brain is. So right now this is a letter, and then maybe I need an index. So does everybody know how to use the len function? Does everybody know what the len function is? Dir len. Not dir, help on len. All right. Built-in len in module built-ins return the number of characters in a container. So this is very important. This word that they chose to use right here is, to me, very, very telling and very interesting. Doesn't say string, doesn't say array, doesn't say iterable, it says container. So it becomes a new term. So anything that holds anything. So a string, quotation marks holds a string. Square brackets holds, contains a list. Curly brackets contains a dictionary, and so on and so on. So a container. So now let's come back over here and maybe rethink about this. So now we have len of string 11. Okay. Now wait a second. So when if I were to change this, don't know exactly, for I in, let's just do index in len string all right, I just blanked on something. So this is not, so check this out. So I can pass in here 11, correct? All right, so is this legal? I want you to look really close, because this is exactly the same. Because remember, when we did this, this returns, because it returns 11. So when I put 11 in my range function, I get start 0, stop 11. So when I pass this in, so I need to put this into a range function. What is going on with my interpreter? Okay, for index in range len string. There we go. All right. Now print index. F9. So now wait a second. So now I get 0 through 10. So now if I come up here and I do string index, rerun this. Okay. So now I've converted back to this. I've done a little bit of manipulation, changed the arguments here, changed the layout here, but now I get the same output with a little bit. This is what I like to really point out and emphasize, that there are so many ways, so many different ways to get the same information to come out. Now, the reason why we're doing this is so because now what I really need to do is I need it to look more like this, +3. Now as I do F9 here, oh, whoa, okay. Dad, add, dida, da, odd. And we're back to, okay, so now this confirms our visual that we saw. 1, 2, 3. So I now have this iterating through a string looking for what we need to find. And we found it in a very long form, but we're not doing anything with this as of yet. Count equals 0. All right, so now what do we need this to do? We can comment. So we know this is exactly what we need. And we want to match this. So if this is equivalent to dad, oh my goodness, then count increment 1. And then print count. So what in the world am I doing right now? If you're just joining us, we're looking at, right now we're looking at a static sliding window. And a sliding window is as you move through a string looking at certain characters, a substring. So we're basically matching, we're checking for substrings in a string. If you've not ever heard that. Sometimes this can be find the substring. There we go. Let me check on something. Okay, sorry. I probably need to go grab my phone in a minute and make sure some doors are closed. Because when I get left here in the morning, most of the doors are left unlocked. So not a big fan of that with a big screen behind me, and I can't see or hear anything because I got sound machines drowning out some things. All right, and so now let's run this. We need to we can comment this out. We don't need that, but we need the rest of this. So F9 this, and here we go. So now, perfect example, or this is working exactly like we were expecting. So dad, and dad. So the occurrence of dad, let's do this. We found and actually what we need to do is we need to put this into a function. There we go. Because we want to make this dynamic. So we need to practice taking our information and putting it into a function. So we're going to do this right now. So def find sub, take in sub, and take in string. Close this. I'm here, index that, or tab that. Don't know where index came from. All right, so sub found sub Count. Whoa. Count. Times. All right. Let's see. We found substring 3 times. Let's see. Call find sub. We're going to pass in string. Nope. Sub goes first. Sub and string. Now let's run this. Are we printing this out or returning it? We're printing it. Hey, Unfinished, how are you? And let's bring this in here. We could handle this with some globalness. Nico would probably be interested in that. There we go. We found dad 3 times. So this is a perfect example of taking some information, taking a working bit of code, and then we throw it into a function right here. So now, does everybody get what we're doing here? Because I know this can be a little weird. And why? Because I am looking at a string and I got it to come out. Oops. And I got this to come out just like this. So why can't we do this? Well, we'd have to come up with a counter and then increment. So we want to use the tools that we have at hand. So if we're going to be slicing, we're going to be indexing. So if we're indexing, we need a counter. And don't reinvent the wheel, because the range function is faster than anything you can write, because it is written into the built-ins and the base code of Python. So if you need to iterate, or same thing with adding numbers, use the enumerate function. All right, so I guess I was thinking this was going to take a lot longer than that. So you guys were good. Let's see. Do we want to look at a dynamic sliding window? Because the example that I like is, let's go here to paint. So I get rid of this one. And I come here. All right. Is an ascending example of find the longest. My explanation of this is not that great. I can't remember what exercise and where I saw it, but it was basically find the longest substring of increasing characters. So if I were to have A, B, C, and then A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then A, B, or A, B. That's not what I wanted. Select. This would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So that's 7 characters. So as these increase, this would be my longest ascending substring out of this substring. So what I'd have, let's get my brushes. So I would start here. See, this is a little bit more complicated, and it's so good. All right, let me go back here and see if I can. I need 2 pointers, and I'm going to start here, and then I'm going to move over, and then I'm going to check, is B greater than A? Cool. Then I'm going to come here, and I'm going to have the length of 2. Is C greater than B? Just saying, is it further down the alphabet when I'm saying greater than? And that actually also works because in Python, because it uses the ASCII formulation to figure out. So B is greater than A. And helps if you actually tell Python what in the world you are talking about. So this is 100% true because this works because Python goes, hey, all right, this is an ASCII. I think I know what you mean. So this is going to be how I'm going to deduce what you're trying to say. So this is actually, we're not going to have to go all the way down to the basics of how this is being formulated. So this will work for us right here. So C is further down the character list, or the higher ranking ASCII. So these are in ascending order. So then when I come to here, this, and you're always looking back one. You're just always looking back at the previous character. So we're doing a lot here, and we're going to need to figure out how to do this. So now A is not less than, and we're also going to have to handle less than or equal to, because I said greater than. So now what will happen is this now becomes, and every time, there's a lot here in this, because every time this becomes greater and this length increases. So right now, these two are now in the exact same place, and our longest substring is 3. So now, as we're checking this, as we're coming through and checking these, so we're here. So now we check, is B greater than A? Yes. Is C greater than D? Yes. Now, as that's happening, it's also going, hey, that last substring we had, that last longest substring we had was 3. Is this substring greater than the previous substring? And the answer is no. So then it keeps going. But back here, when each time it was checking, because right now the substring, oops, let's go here. So that first time, the sub is equal, it increases from 0 through 3, but then as we were going through it, is this even showing up? As we were going through it, yeah, it is. As we were going through it, the longest, let's go back here, the longest sub was increasing every single time, because the longest sub and the substring at the beginning are both 0. This is why I love this example so much. So then each time through, each time until it gets to here, each time through it's checked, and this was 2, then it becomes 3. Now, when we get to here, all right, so we need to, that's not good. That's awful. All right. So every time we need to figure out where we need to put this break to do our test. So once it gets to this C, it goes, all right, wait a second. This is even. So when I get over here to D, now this now becomes not only it's continuously the longest, the substring, it's continuously growing, and every time through it's also incrementing our longest substring. So all right, let's go ahead and start working on this. Hang on. Unfinished. I may get up here in a minute and go do something. If you're still here, I may need you to let everybody know that I'll be back in a minute or two. So, all right, let's get started. So we're not going to put this in a function yet. So we need to lay this out. And we're going to redo our string. Let's see. Let's be consistent. What was it? So we have string is going to be A, B, C, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, then A, B. All right. So as we're going through, we need to figure this out. Index, in range, len, string. I think this will work. So print string index, and we'll just start here. We'll get this to work. All right. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B. All right. So we at least have something coming out. So we need to keep moving. So we need to figure out how in the world. So right here, let's just get. So we need to do a test here. So if we do. Hey Nico, how we doing? We have looked at longest. We're looking at static windows. So basically, we're looking at sliding windows. And we just did a static window example, and now we're doing a dynamic sliding window. And I'll give you the quick rundown. In this example, it's also known as like finding the substring, counting. So if I have this string of characters of DA, 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 AD, AD, all these things, and I want to find how many occurrences of this certain substring DAD occur here, I need to iterate through. And let's just go back for a second. Nico's been good to all of us, so it's been very helpful to me. So we can do this for a second. So DA, oops, that's not a character. Text. So as I'm doing this, I don't want these capital. DA, D, AD. That's why I don't like paint. So if I look, the reason why this is called a dynamic or a static sliding window is because I'm checking the same size window every time, and I'm iterating over, and my window size stays the same. So in this, like I said, this is also called like find the substring or something like that, because you get a string of characters and find how many times a certain combinations of substrings exist. So we look at this string and we go, how many times is DAD in here? And the answer is 2. But the reason why this is tricky and you don't leap over is because it can use the same D twice. So that's a static sliding window. So let's get rid of that. Now what we're doing is we're looking at a dynamic sliding window. And in this example right here is we're looking at finding the longest substring where a character is further down in the alphabet than the previous character. So I've broken this up of what the example of what we're doing. This substring is length of 3, this is length of 7, and this is length of 2. So our example should find, or our function should find that length of 7 and that substring. All right. Actually, all right, Nico, that you're here, I need to go do 2 things. I'll probably be back in like 90 seconds. So if anybody comes and says, where is he? Just let him know for me. right, I'm coming. All right. Okay, my phone's kind of charged, so it'll be fine. Let's see. That lighting is bad. You guys are probably tired of hearing me complaining about the lighting all the time. I think the drapes, if I put the drapes up this weekend, that may help quite a bit. Okay. Thank you, Nico. I appreciate it. Let's see. Oh, and I remembered to undisable the notifications in Discord. I did. Thank you. All right. Let's see. Is that what you sent in Discord? Oh, that's funny. That is very funny. All right. So, let's get back to this. Does everybody understand what we're going to be attempting to do? Because I know this is not the best explanation. Whoa. This is not the best explanation. But it's a great exercise of how to figure out how to do this. Because we need to start with our pointer, and as we're moving through, and Nico, right before you got here, as you're moving through and checking these, you need to check that there's let's count up how many checks we need. We need to check as this moves, is this character greater than the last character? Then, as is this length longer than the previous length, which once this gets to D, this now will become the new length. Then once it gets to E, this will become the new longest, and so on and so on and so on. And then once we get to A, then let's see, can I chop this off? Everything comes back to here. Does that make sense? All right, so we need to go ahead and get started. So Nico, take a peek at this and see how this works as a static sliding window, and then now we're going to be doing a dynamic sliding window. Okay. So there's going to be, like I said, multiple checks that we need to be doing to make this work. And this is very, very similar to our number triangle, the reverse number triangle, wow, that I made a big deal about, because there's just so many subtleties that are happening here. And I know everybody wants to have something and do something really super complicated, but I promise you, everything, when you get to having a connection issue, an unpacking issue, these types of skills of, wait a second, how do I iterate? I need to iterate. And I think Nico can speak to that, where when Nico was trying to solve these types of issues with global, I think Nico was trying to unpack or look at a string. No, you were trying to iterate through. I'm trying to remember what it was. Oh, you're trying to index a string. You use a string as an index, and you can handle that, but you need to be prepared of what type of variable that you have. So, all right, let's get going through this. So we have a couple people dropping in, and we need to go through here. So, all right, so we just need to go ahead and get started, because right now I don't have anything happening. I'm just getting each index through. So I need to create all sorts of stuff. Let's see. Let's make some of this stuff correct. So now let's do this. Now we're doing dynamic sliding window. All right. Dynamic sliding window. Bring this down here. Let's make sure everybody can see. Okay. So we need our sub, because our sub is going to change, because it's going to every time through. So this is why I love this example, because when we get to here, this will become our new substring. This will become our longest substring. So we also need a counter. Counter is 0. Then we also need a long substring, 0, and then longest length sub. So we're going to change this around. This is going to be longest length, and then this is going to be longest sub. So, all right. Let me check. I think I just got a text. Let's see. All right, sorry. We're trying to figure out, because just to give you guys an update, I've been applying for a bunch of jobs, and I'm starting to get a bunch of rejection emails, and we're trying to figure out. My wife's helping me. She's highly educated. She's a lot smarter than I am. So we're trying to figure out what I should do, because I can do the work, but on paper, I don't look like it. I have no college degree. I have no certifications. I've been working on my LinkedIn videos. Oh, actually, I may post those here as shorts to see what everybody thinks, and then post them on LinkedIn, because I need those to be perfect. But all right, let's go back here to what I'm doing. And actually, this should be up here. This is so unorganized. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay, so we have the count. Then we have my longest length count. Then I'm going to have my substring and my longest substring. So we need to figure out order of operations. That is so vital. Just like when I was sitting here I knew how to do the nth prime number, but as I was trying to talk and think, I can't do that very much, and not having my music while I'm trying to solve this is killing me, because my little brain is going 1,000 miles an hour, and I also just don't want to sit here quietly. I want to try to engage with everyone. I couldn't figure that out, so I may have to cheat again with the longest substring. So count the substrings and longest substrings. Sliding windows. Same techniques. One's a static, one's a dynamic. So let's just go ahead and get started. So here I am. The first time through, I need to assign the string. So I need to come here and go if. So we need to have a starting point, right? So this is going to throw up the first time through, right? Because right here, basically, it's pre-0. Index 0 of the string is A. But we need to test. So if sub, we could do this two ways. If sub is basically an empty string, or we could do if the length of sub is 0. It's fielder's choice. Don't know if you've ever heard that term, but that's basically a baseball term. Is either way will work. Either way is right. You just have to pick, decide, and stick to it. So now I do my string, string index or index. All right. So right now, let's test this, because what should happen is A should come out twice. No. This should just still come out once. Let's go through the order of operations here and see if I'm right. Oh, no. F9? Oh, I was over here. Okay. All right. Let's test something. Let's move this in here. No. Let's move this here. All right, now let's run this. So now I should just get... Yay. Okay, let's make this sub. Now this should work. Sorry, guys. Let's unpack this and see what I was doing. I was just printing out stuff. So, all right. So now I have a control here. I have control over my string. So if I come back here and I bring this back, this should work and only happen once. Oh, just continues to be A. So this is A every time through because I'm not rewriting this. So now I need to, so let's look at our example. Not that. I need to close that. Let's get this over here. Let's get we're going to start here. So our first thing is I have both pointers pointing at A. Then I need to move through here. So, all right. So now I need a start, stop. Everybody following that? So I'm having all right. So let's keep this. Let's get this together. Substring and longest substring. Sub length. Now this is vital to help keep up with what you're doing, especially if somebody's going to come back and reread everything that you're going to do. And also, if I haven't said this out loud, I've probably said it, but I know I maybe haven't said this on a stream. If you are writing something and creating something and you even come back a year later, you're going to be like, what was I doing there? So writing notes and comments is vital. Length of sub and longest sub string. All right. Okay. So back to this. So the first one, they're both going to be here and here. And then we need to figure out a way to move these over. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. Here we go. So right now I'm starting and I'm creating here. So if I'm going to be iterating, so wait a minute. If I'm going to be iterating two different ways, so I'm going to need two different loops. Okay? So here's my primary. Here's my secondary. Does that make sense? A for loop inside of a for loop. Exactly like our number triangle. So we need to come up here and let's see. This is probably, I'm feeling like this is probably in the wrong spot, but it doesn't matter, but we can handle this later. Let's get rid of this. Let's get rid of this right here. Let's just comment this out. All right. So as I was here, so for end in what's a good way to do this? Now I can't remember how I did this last time. So let's go ahead and just think about this. While because I don't need to. Okay, while true. Haven't done this in a long time. Let's just see if this works. So I'm going to increment over my pointer, because right now because my start is going to be index, right? Okay. I'm probably doing this way harder than it needs to be. I haven't done this in years, so bear with me. And I think this is also a dilemma of somebody who's in between like a junior and a senior is because sometimes and you hear very then advanced and expert people don't over design. So and I think I started to do that with the nth prime number, and I was like, this is garbage. So we're gonna do this, and then at time, so we're here. We've been here an hour. So if we get to 2 hours and I haven't solved this yet, we'll go look and see the original way I did it. It's probably pretty clean. But I hope everyone is having a good day today. Thank you everybody for dropping in. So I need to, because if we come through here and I need to move this over. Oh, that's not good. I need to move this over and I need to count. So so right now I have my substring and my stop. My stop is 0. My index is 0. So while true, and then while true, if, so we have A, and then so stop is also index. All right. Does that make sense? Because we're setting this at the beginning. We're setting this at the beginning, and we're creating both of these. We're checking. We're setting our substring to the first index. We're setting our start pointer to index 0, and we're setting our stop index to 0, and then we need to move this over. All right. We're done with that. Ooh, nobody seemed to like just put me into chat here. No one seemed very excited to learn SQL yesterday. I haven't gotten the final numbers in yet, but no one seemed very excited to for me to be sharing any SQL yesterday. The views were horribly down. So I think I'm gonna maybe keep the sequel to a minimum, and maybe only have that be in extreme situations. Because yeah, like today, we are way down on views, and I don't know if it's just because of yesterday, because yesterday was really bad. Nobody came to hang out. So, all right. And Wednesday's actually usually a pretty good day. All right. Okay. I digress. Don't mean to complain. I just want to learn. I just want to help share with you guys what you're interested in. And then also a little bit of what you don't think may be important, but want to share with you just regular problem solving. It's unbelievable how important this is, and these simple things like this of problem solving and automation, that was how I got to be doing the things that I was on my old team. Now, it's also turning out that maybe nobody else in the industry thinks I was doing anything of importance, because like I said, I'm not getting any traction with my resume and the way it is. Maybe it's me, maybe it's my resume, who knows. But all right, I digress. I don't want to spin down into a bottomless, a death spiral, I guess, is one thing. All right, let's make sure we can see this. Let's check. There we go. So if you're just joining us, we're working on sliding windows with strings. So basically, count the number of substrings, the occurrences of substrings. Working hard, but I have you on in the background. Hey, Dax, thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. You've been around a long time. Actually, we have quite a few. Dax, I was thinking about something. You probably, there's potentially, as I've had subscribers come and go, you were 87, but the likelihood of you being, I need to look. I think there's a way I can do it. You may actually be one of either the longest or one of the longest, because I would assume most of those 87 statistically would have dropped off. So you may be the longest subscriber. Actually, I want to look and see if I can do this. Can I sort by, I want to check something. I don't know if it may be a setting, because I don't know if, because I know, let's see, let's go one over. You may not be publicly showing. Yeah, because I'm into 2019 and it does not show. Because, let's see, let's go back. Let's go back to the beginning. And yeah, here's some people locally. You would probably be like 10 or 12th. Because I have some people. No way. That was that was right after the channel. So yeah. Here's some people who have dropped in, and they're now towards the top of the list after the channel was 4 or 5 months old, and I know that they weren't the first ones. So just curious. All right, let me go back to. That's not where I wanted to go. Back to chat. Okay. All right, so here we are. So we are trying to iterate through and find the longest substring, aka a dynamic sliding window. So here we are, and we're just taking a shot in the dark. I have not written this in a very long time, so I'm seeing the way in which I would solve it now compared to the way that I have solved it in the past. So let's just work through this. So as we're going through in our first iteration, we're assigning our first index to our substring, and we're assigning all of our characters, all of our pointers to this first one. So let's see. First time through, I'm assigning our start index and our stop index to index. So bingo. All right, so done. This step. All right, I'm closing the snippet tool. I keep clicking on it. Apparently I'm not smart enough to see the difference between the paintbrush for paint and the snippet tool. All right, so we have done all three of these steps. We've assigned. Now, now it's not going to be while true. It's what I originally was thinking. So now let's think about this. We're going to move this over if, so here's our if statement, if this character is further down the letter in the alphabet or greater in ASCII. Because if you're just joined us, I proved that the string B is greater than the string A. So this is a completely true statement. So now we need to convert this. So here we go. If so take our string, okay, if string start is less than string start plus 1. All right, this makes sense. So check this out. So we have string. That's that. So we're going to do string index 0. So here's our use case. So string index 0 plus 1. Completely legal. Okay. So now let's go string index 0 . Okay. So now here we are. So now this is exactly the layout that we want. Now we just need to, so let's see, we have string start, so we need to make this dynamic. So now in our actual dynamic window, we're making something dynamic, because I joked, because we needed to make our static window, we needed to make our if statement dynamic, because you're not going to be able to hard code this. So now we have an example. In our dynamic window, we have something that is also dynamic. So here we are. So are we getting close? Let's see. Sorry, my wife's texting. I don't know if I can answer that, but I also can't get away with not answering it pretty quickly. So I may need to drop here, all right? Because we're at an hour. We're at an hour and 8 minutes. Okay, the stream is working a lot better than it was yesterday because the time was all askew. Okay, so if this happens, what do we need to do? So if this is true, what do we need to do? We need to we need to increment this to our sub. All right, does that make sense? So right now our sub, I may be going over this way too fast. Does everybody here know how to increment? Does everybody here know how to increment a string? Hang on one second. I don't know if that was my chair, but I could have sworn I heard a person cough, and I should be the only one here. So that would be very creepy. It's the only thing I don't like about live streaming when no one's here. It may have been the chair too. So if I die, just everybody be aware of that. So that would be awful, but I bet it would get some views. All right, so everybody needs to know how to do this. So this is weird, but this is completely legal. So if I have a string and it's empty, and then I want to stick something to it, I can do this. This is completely legal. So I'm basically sticking it to the end. So now I want to do this and then stick a B to it. Oops. Then I call X again. So this is a completely legal statement. So I'm adding A, I'm adding B. So I have an empty string here. So I'm basically adding this to the empty string. So now it becomes A. Now I'm adding a B to my string. So it becomes AB. So if this is true, which we find out that B is greater than A, I need to take my sub, increment up, and do the next hang on. We need to figure this out because we're not utilizing this. We need to figure this needs to be stop. All right, we're going to have an issue here in a minute, but we'll get through it because this needs to is it going to be stop plus 1? Because this is another perfect example of order of operations. We're going to do stop plus 1 here and then add to stop. Increment stop. So we're going to experiment with this because we need to handle a bunch of other things right here. Let's just decide. This is a perfect example. Instead of analysis paralysis, we're just going to make a decision and we're going to go from here. We're going to make this stop plus 1. And then if this is true, we're going to increment stop. Yep, we're going to increment stop. Okay, then substring is bingo. Then we're going to increment string stop. Bingo. Let's see what this happens. See how this does. Its index is out of range. All right. So this is not going to be exactly the right answer. Hour and 13 minutes. Let's see if I can remember how to do this, or we can go through and problem solve this. And let's just figure this out. Like I said, this is a great dynamic sliding windows are extremely powerful and handy. So on line 20, so when I ran this, so this is a great example. I'm going to put this in another here. Let's get this to run. Okay, I'm going to run this. Oh, I'm going to run this file. There we go. Line 27. So I'm out of index range. So why is this? Let's see why this is illegal. So out of index range. Has anybody seen that? We need to talk about that for a second, because you need to understand, because this is telling me that I'm trying to index. So right now our string is length of 12. So if I come up here and I go string 12, I'm going to get an index error, because index and length are not the same. So if I do for I in range len string print I'm going to get 0 through 11. So if I pull 11 here, so if I do string 11, I get my last B right here. There is no index 12, but it has a length of. So this is why this is throwing up, and it should have at least had something. So I've got a design problem here that I've got to fix. So the first time through, so this doesn't like this right here. So start. So when did interesting. Okay, so I have a major problem here, because this is, I got start at 10 already. Okay, where's stop? Stop is 11. So if I do string 10, I get A. And then if I do string stop, OP, P close, and it helps if I just, okay, that is working exactly the way they were expecting it to. So I have, let's move this up. Sorry, guys. Let's see. Okay, sorry. Like I said, my wife and I were trying to look if I need to take some sort of boot camp to prove that I actually know what I'm talking about from working at Walmart because, like I said, it's not looking it's not looking good, boss, as they say. And I guess if anybody's dropping in and looking at my live stream going, he can't figure out the longest substring, this may not be good. But I'm trying to show you guys that getting an end result is more important and following the process. So let's see. So right now this is throwing up, but everything is pulling something. So let's get through here and get this going. So let's go through the steps of why and what this is happening. So I'm coming here and I'm dropping in to this the first time. And while true, I'm incrementing and going well, hello, how are you? Where? Go find one? That's my guess right there. Hello world. I love that. I don't know. I think I've completely forgotten where hello world came from. Can't remember if it was Java or maybe even Fortran when hello world was first introduced. So if you're just dropping in and joining us, we're working on longest strings, counting substrings, dynamic sliding window approaches, dynamic window, and sliding windows if you're just joining us. And right now, I'm working on the dynamic window and finding the longest substring in a string. And the criteria is the next character has to be larger, farther down the alphabet than the previous character. So here's our breakup points. So this substring is 3, this substring is 7, and this substring is 2. So if you entered this string, the output should be this substring and the length of 7. That is our goal. And I've done this numerous times before, but after I've solved it, I then use my notes. But I haven't probably written this function in several years. So we're just going through it and we're trying to solve it together. So that's what we're doing today. So I hope you're having a good day today, and we will continue on. So I'm stuck right now. I'm having a out of index problem, and it shouldn't not be, because our last variables of start and stop are completely within no, it's not. So here we are. No, it is, because that should be 10 and 10. Because right now, because it jumps here, and stop was 10, so you have to follow your order of operations. This is why that's so vital. I cannot express the importance of understanding order of operations. Something in a simple order change completely changes everything. So I'll use the example of multiplication and division. So if you use parentheses with multiplication and division, it completely changes the math formula, right? So let me really drive this home. So if we were to have this plus this times this plus that. Now, if I were to come in here and start, well, this is a bad example. I should have thought about this a lot longer. Because right now, that would be 10 times 2. But yeah, actually, let's look at that. I should have, but this is a great example. I think it is. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out if my little brain did this right. Okay. So now if I come here and I do this, yeah, this should change everything. Bingo. So my order of operations, same information technically, but in the way in which I wanted it done, completely changed the instructions. Because standard is do this first, then add these others. But now I said, no, I want these to be collected, then multiply that by 5, and then go from there. So, all right. So this is my problem, and it's exactly like this, and I've got to figure it out. So let's come through here and just kind of start back. So we're coming and we're starting here. So right now, let's comment this out. Why didn't that comment out? Oh, hit control, but I didn't hit control 1. Oh, I need to check something. No way. Okay. Sorry. Didn't think about something until just now. Print sub. So I just have a bunch of A's. So now we need to, let's just get this working. Because I need to get my index moving over for this to work. So we need to get that started. So apparently this is just as bad as my nth prime without having any music and me having to try to talk out loud while we're doing this. So bear with me, everyone. I'm going to try to keep this as entertaining as possible whilst trying to solve this problem right here. So let's see. We need to index over. So how about we first get this index to work? So we have our index working. And if I do string index start, what comes out? I get B. Okay, this is interesting. Okay, because is this B, and start should be 11. All right, okay. And then when I got here, so stop is also 11. So I'm getting, but why wasn't I getting an output here? So what I'm finding out is because when I do string index 12, I get out of range. So I was getting this error when I was doing this. And let's see if there's a control F11. Control F11. Okay, here we go. So here's part of our dilemma. Is I'm not even getting A and B. It is jumping completely to, and that, why didn't that? Actually, I never thought I would say this, but Visual Studio, I should have been able to, right, step into F10, step return, continue F12, clear breakpoints in all files. Sorry. Okay, so this is very telling here. So first, the first time through, I automatically get, let's get rid of this one. Let's rerun this. All right, so we have a major problem here in this entire design. So I'm not even getting A and B to come out. Sorry, my watch is telling me I've been sitting too long and I need to get up. That's how bad my watch is, or how bad my exercise level is that it's like when I even get up and move around, it's just so ecstatic. So I guess when I've been programming so much and sitting. All right, so we need to fix this first because this is completely wrong, inaccurate, and just not going to work. So is I need A and B to come out. So let's just go ahead and I need to set A. Let's comment all this out and start over. All right. We have our sub. We're going to increment string index because this is what we need to have happen. Print sub. This is how basic it is, and I was probably already getting too much happening. All right, that's it. So I was already, let's get rid of this because none of this is working, because I was already trying to solve a problem. This is a perfect example of I was trying to solve a problem before it was a problem, and I tried to get fancy, and I didn't test the code before I did anything with it. It was garbage. So let's just go ahead and get started. So we're starting all the way over. So first time through A. Then, but we need to leave our start index here. So this maybe. So was the next one. So right here, this is all good. All good. Boom. Somewhere right here we need to have a check. So why is this wrong? Okay. So our last index. Yep, here we go. Sadly, I'm having to cheat a little bit because I'm now remembering. But all right, let's go back here. So I don't need a second pointer. I was over-engineering this. Perfect example. Over-engineering. Let's come back here. This is what's dangerous. And I didn't know when this was going to happen, and it's already happening to me. So I'm in the middle here. So I want you to think about this. This is sub. This is going to be sub. All I have to do is look at the last part of sub. So this fails. This is wrong because this is less than this. So let's look at this. Let's go back. Everybody know negative indexing? Is there anybody who doesn't know negative indexing before I do it and throw you off into a tizzy? Let's see. Let's do documents. Let's look for bread. Negative, negative, negative. Bread alphabet. Check this out. All right. Oh, look. Almost have the exact same ones. So indexing in Python. Oh. Everybody good? I thought I saw a deleted message. So negative indexing right here. So we have 0 indexing in Python. You start with 0, you go all the way through. Now, negative numbers exist too. Just like 0 is a number, negative numbers are numbers too. Don't forget that. So in Python, you can go backwards. And so you can't reuse 0 because it already has an assignment. It's the first letter going forward. Excuse me. First index going forward. Negative numbers start with the last letter going backwards. So what I need to do is we're going to get started here. So sub equals sub increment string index then print sub and then also check this out. Sub -1 print sub and sub -1. So this is what you have to defend against when you're programming. So check this out. I was over complicating this stuff. I wanted to be fancy. I wanted to be, and I did this with the nth prime too. So I wanted to see how I would do. I'm highlighting what the last one is. So all I need to do is just look backwards. I don't need all of this. So this is too much, not needed. Perfect example. So when you get good, don't get too fancy. Don't get too big for your britches. Because I can hear my grandmother right now. You're getting too big for your britches. So all I need to do is look backwards. So this is just a standard if-else. If, so we need to find out right now, we need to handle an empty string is less than a. Cool. So this will work. So if we make, so this is a perfect example of catching everything with a big bucket with your net and then handling your smaller scenarios. So figure out a way that's going to work for 95% of your situations and then build something to catch the other 5%. Don't try to program to catch your 5% and then figure out a way to catch the 95%. You want to go get your big buckets first. So right now, sub is an empty string. And we used A as our first character. So if sub less than string index add to it. Let's see how much closer we are here. Oops. Do we want to do, let's do print sub here. Print sub here. All right. All right. And then right now I'm not resetting. Else let's see, order of operations sub equals empty string. Let's see how close we are. Okay, now we're talking. So see how simple, much more clean this is. If you need me to go over this again, please let me know. So right here, now I do have a little bit of a problem right here. And this is almost everything, but right now I'm losing an A. So we need to figure out why. So we have A, B, C, then we go to B. So something's happening here with this A. So we need to figure this out. So this is probably not an empty string. Let's reassign this to string index. Let's try this and see what this happens. All right, now I'm getting too much. This should be back to A and AB. So we need to figure out why. We're getting closer. So let's see, order of operations, I get to here. And then I get A, then I get AB. How many times is this? Aha! Print sub. Everybody get what I did? Because as I'm reassigning this, I'm missing an A because this is not. How did I sit here and know that I was missing an output here? Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So it's hitting here 10 times and hitting here twice. And we're resetting twice. 1, 2. So now let's pop this, see what happens. Bingo. Here we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect. I now have all of my scenarios. This is everything I need to check. So first time through, I'm going to check. Is this longer than this? Cool. Is this longer than this? Cool. So every time through here. So now, every time this is longer than my empty substring, so this will become my longest substring. So now I need to test here. Is this going to be tested inside here? I think so. So if sub greater than long sub, then long sub becomes sub. And then also length of sub this is completely wrong. We're testing for length here. My apologies. Everybody see what I'm doing right now? And then sub. All right. Print sub and length sub. All right. Let's do one thing at a time. This is again perfect example. I'm getting ahead of myself. So all right. This is working. And I'm printing out sub and length of sub. We're doing one thing at a time. F9. All right, I need, okay, this, if sub length is greater than sub, this should not have happened. All right. Actually, the A should have happened, but these shouldn't have. So I didn't want them to. Sorry. Let me rephrase. I didn't want those to happen. Not it shouldn't have happened, because it did happen. So that's exactly what I told the code to do. Python executed the code that I wrote. So be very careful. Don't do what I just said. All right. So here we are. We're an hour and 44 minutes. Let's see, is everybody hanging in there? Not too yellow right now. Have a couple folks hanging out. I appreciate it. Let's see. Let's see how the views are doing. We're doing all right. We're hanging in there. I think yesterday really kind of killed the mood, because no one was interested in SQL. So learned a lot yesterday. Maybe I'll take the sequel and we'll do it in the version of pandas. And also, I'll show you guys how to take SQL and run it through pandas. That's actually very handy, because you're going to need to know how to do that if you're going to want to do any sort of data analysis. Because when I found out that I could take my SQL, throw it into pandas, I was like, oh, I'm off and running. And nobody else on my last team wanted to have anything to do with that. It was very interesting. Had a lot of project managers on my team. There was only one other kind of architect / programmer, and then our boss. He was really good. So, all right, I digress. So let's finish this out. So this is not working. So let's go back, because this just did some weirdness that we were not expecting. Because I got the exact same output, right? I think I got the exact same output, and that is completely wrong. Because I was expecting, does this get an extra space at the end of it? It does. That's interesting to me. All right. So here we go. Why on earth I'm printing if sub length of sub? Oh, because I'm not changing it. So, all right. Okay, we need to think about this. We need to go back. We need to go back here. And come here. So we're here. Then we're moving. We have not tested if sub is less than index. No. This is garbage. This is completely wrong. All right. Oh no. All right. So here we are. Let's go back. Let's go back. Because we're not testing if sub. I completely missed this. All right, so out of range. All right. Let's go back. Let's undo and get everything back working. Back working. Get rid of this. Get rid of this. All right. I'm inadvertently getting this to work. This is on accident. This is completely on accident. So this works, but it's not functioning in a way. Let me rephrase this. This is working, but it's not functioning exactly. So I'm getting it right now. This is a perfect example. I'm getting a false positive because sub and sub or string index. We need to look at this. B. Because I want this. This is only supposed to be adding let's go back here. If this is bigger than this, so we need to solve this dilemma right here. So I'm getting this output, but it's getting the same output, but not in the way that I expecting it to work. So I'm getting a false positive, if that makes sense, because I need it to operate. Because right now at the end, sub is AB, and then string index is string index out of it's B. Okay, I need to check something. What is so if I have an empty string, let's do sub equals. So we need to test this. We need to have a scenario here, because this should not work. I'm not expect. I don't think the functionality. Let me rephrase that. I'm starting to sound like a middle schooler. This shouldn't work. Let's see. Index 0, out of range. All right. Okay. So our 95% bucket is not going to work on this. This is very annoying that I cannot reconstruct this. I guess I do need my music a lot more than I thought, and am trying to talk while doing it, and it's not going well. So it doesn't make me look that great. So I appreciate everybody hanging out here with me as we're trying to reconstruct how to drop this. But there's also, so actually the last two streams, as unorganized as they are, and might actually be the reason why the views are down. But you guys are awesome. You guys are just have to sit here and watch me go through this. So the first time through it needs to be A. let's do if sub equals, we'll do an empty string. Sub, let's do this, else, elif, then else. So sub equals string index. All right. So then if index 0 or index 1, so I'm indexing backwards, so I think I pulled this image back up. So what we're going to do is we're going to be looking, so index 0 is the last place. Doesn't matter how long this is. Do I have another one to show? They're all the same length. Should have had more examples. All right, shoot. So basically, the way I want you to think about this right now, let's do sub. Sub equals A. So I'm going to want to show you this. So sub index 0 is A. Sub index -1 is also A, because this is the last spot. So now if I sub increment up B, let's get my cursor out of the way. So now sub 0 is A, sub -1 is B. Does that make sense? All right. That is some awful. Okay. Now let's see. So I'm dropping my first. Okay. Print sub. Maybe are we getting close now? Now this is the way. Okay. Now we're getting to a more controlled environment. So I've printed out. So now I have every single path through here. And I'm looking, is this index here? So now I need to figure out where this needs to go and this needs to go. Because there's a certain scenario, there's certain scenarios. So let's go back to our image. So we come here. Starts out, we get our A. If this is bigger than this, so that's here. All right, so what is this scenario? If letter is greater, we need to, we're already adding this, but then we also need to test. We need to test if it's the longest substring. So every time through the first two, this is the longest substring because the substring was set at 0. So now, do we need to default here and become, let's find out, because I think also we need to reset the length of sub all right, we need to print the sub and sub length. We're going to do sub length and then substring length and go from there. Why didn't I like it? Oh, that's sub 1, not L. That's awful. L Apparently, I do look at my keyboard more than I thought because I have the microphone pulled up and I have it in front of me. And apparently, I look at my feet while I'm driving. All right, so all of this is wrong. So now I need to, after I assign this, I need to do sub L equals len of sub. Copy, paste, paste. All right, let's get this going. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. This is okay. Here we go. We're getting really, really warm right now. So now, when do we need to? So we have our sub length and our longest length. So if this is here, because we don't want to reassign the longest length in either of these two scenarios, we're only going to reassign the longest length. Our longest sub length. That's the longest sub length. There we go. All right, so we have our sub rechecking, and then let's get rid of, let's do a test right here. Because right now, if we design this right, this should come out and this should come out. So let's test and see. Oh my, I do not get. What is? I'm sorry, I'm getting a bunch of weird. My wife just found a comment on my YouTube channel that I guess I don't even know. And and then my kids are commenting on it, and they're supposed to be in school. So somebody thinks I look like Ricky Jarvis. I think I know who that comedian is, and I guess I did not think I looked like them. So I don't know what video they commented that on. So, all right. You guys are hilarious. All right, so here we go. And that's the kind of stuff that gets my kids really involved. They will hang on to this all day. Okay. Yep. And it starts, and I will not hear the end of this for quite a few years. Okay. So I digress. You're going to hear my watch going off a lot here until they get bored. And they do not get bored easily. So, printing sub length. Sub. So now we need to reassign and only print here if it is a new sub length. Longest sub length. So we need to jump into let's drop down here. because we need to do a stress test. What happens if it's only one character? If it's all A. We need to check that. But I think I'm going to get this going, and we're at oh God, we're already at 2 hours. I did not know that already. 2 hours and 2 minutes. This is taking me way longer than I thought it should. All right, so if longest so the first time through we need to think about this. So we've just changed this over to sublength and longest sublength. So if longest sublength and here comes my daughter. So if you guys don't have daughters, they are they're something else. Here, if you guys haven't seen Matt Damon talking about his 17-year-old, this will sum this up. So she and her friend were watching a movie, and she purposely was walking around and calling it The Wall, his movie The Wall, and she was doing it to bait him. And he interrupted her and said it was called The Great Wall, and she whips her head around and said there was nothing great about that. And if you do not have a late teen daughter, you don't get it. But if you do, that sounds exactly right. And I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'll tell you some stories tomorrow about the buttons and the new pages, because when my wife and my daughter get together, that's something else. There's a lot of I'll just walk by and I'll get attacked for just standing there and breathing. All right, let's hurry up and get this done. So we're super close. So this is technically wrong, but right now, that should be the output. Nope. I need to rephrase that. My code is wrong. I want the output to be these two. That should be the first one. This should be the next one. So now, if the sublength, there we go. Sub length is greater than longest sublength. And then print longest sub and longest sub length. Let's see. Whoa. Let's check this. See how we're doing. Well, that's not good. All right, let's get rid of this. Let's go back a step. Let's uncomment that out. Uncomment that out. And print sub. So we're back. We're kind of back to normal. So we got 1, 1, 1, printing the sub length. So I want here and here. So my path, my goal is to get only so now maybe it's a variable problem. Sub length, and then if longest sub length no, sub length greater than longest sub length, then reassign longest sub length from sub length. And then print, that's awful, print longest sub. Alright, comment this out, and then we'll start cleaning all this up. Well, trying not to be mortified by doing this and walking you guys through all of this. Alright, so we are very close. What am I missing? And this is just like our nth our nth prime. I really don't want to drop here and not have this solved, but it is almost 10 here, and I've got to keep moving. But you guys keep hanging out. So we're gonna stick around. Let's see. You guys are a very awesome community. I know I don't say it enough. Oh, and I didn't tell anybody on Discord that we were streaming today. So garbage. All right. So let's see why this isn't working. So I'm assigning. Oh, check this out. This is because I'm not assigning this to anything. Everybody seeing that? This is bad variable use. And sub. All right. So technically, do we want to get into this where A should be? I mean, if I were to put this down here at the end, and do I have longest? All right. And I have longest sub length. Let's rerun this because I kind of don't like. So let's copy this. When I get done, this will be the last thing. So I'm out of my loop. And we're going to comment this out. But I kind of don't like that this isn't working and I don't get A and 1. So we need to handle this. Because if I were to make these all A's. Alright, so this is working. But if I were to make this all A's. this would fail. 0. So technically, this should be the first time through. So I need to, so this is bothering me that this isn't working exactly, because this is an edge case. This is a perfect example of how you stress test whatever you're building. So when this captures the longest substring in a perfect scenario. But this is the weak part of engineering. Engineers typically, that's why you have to have a whole other QA department. No way. Hello, how are you? Oh my God, that's funny. That is. How are you doing? Sorry. Okay. Well, since you're here, I am finishing up finding the longest substring, and we're doing some stress testing here. So I got this to work on a normal environment, but I threw it an example of something a little outrageous, but this needs to be able to solve this. If you're still here, that's funny. If you dropped, that's even funnier. So this is not functioning properly because in this scenario of the beginning, it's not capturing the longest substring. So right now, I need to be testing if this is, so right now I'm assigning I'm assigning the longest sub, but I'm not testing to see if the length of, let's just get fancy and also assign the longest sub length from length sub. So now we're going to test this and see if this works. 1. All right. And longest length of sub, and then also in this example, this needs to be the longest. Let's see, where else is it? It is not here. Sub and longest sub is sub. Let's run this again. Bingo, A and 1. So now let's comment this out. So now this should be working 100% perfectly. Bingo. So here we go, everybody. Let's clean this up. Let's get some of this garbage out of here. And this is also why I like F9, because you can come back up here and you see the entire code snippet that you did. All right. And this is it. All right. Bye. That's funny. That is too funny. All right. Okay. I know we just had quite a few. Well, not quite a few for me. Just drop in. Is there anything before we go that we need to really examine about indexing, sliding, finding substrings, finding dynamic substrings? So you'll hear that term, sliding window and dynamic sliding window. All that is substrings in an array. And we also did this example in our finding of our seat combinations inside a stadium. So if you've not seen that video, please go ahead and go and look at that. Maybe we'll do that one tomorrow. But let's see. I know we're way over. Yeah, I had views were really weird yesterday. But all right, does anybody have a question that before I drop of how to go about and solving this problem? Because I think I started out really over-engineering this thing, and it was awful. But I went through all of these paths, and we thought about it. So when we got to here, and we looked back at our last index of our substring, we were looking here. So here's our starting point. We're slicing through, and then we come over here. So I guess technically, then we look back here, and it's like, nope. We got to start over. So then we come up here, and we grab this, and we slide it over. And we did that right here. Hello. I hope everyone's doing well today. I do not want to try your name. I'm going to mutilate that. But all right, I'm about to wrap up because I've been on for 2 hours and I don't want to bore anybody else. Anybody have any quick questions before we do drop for the day? Because you always want to try to think of all of your scenarios that can happen. It's vital. It's absolutely vital, because what we found earlier when we ran this was that during stress testing validation, when I gave it all A's, it failed. It returned 0. So I needed to go back and I needed to handle this right here. And then this is our reset to start over. So basically this is our first index. This is when, and this is start over. So we can just kind of go through this. So there are 3 scenarios. So the first time through, if this is larger than this, and then when this needs to reset. So if you think about it, there's 3 different scenarios of how this is going to happen. So a if, a elif, and a else. Finding your path through your situation, your human brain, your scenarios, and your Python brain or your programming brain. And you have got to account for all of those paths, or you could get a false positive, which, see if it's still here. I was getting a false positive here. And look at that. I was missing out. I was getting false positives. So you've got to make sure that you understand how your code is operating. Because we had someone early on, when we were doing the streams, I put out the number triangle. And they were getting a result, but they weren't quite exactly sure how it was happening. And that's cool that you got it to work, but is it a false positive, or is it just something that's doing it? So when you need to go and edit something, like when I got from, when I went from here down, I got a wrong output, an output that I wasn't expecting. Not wrong output, because it output exactly what it was supposed to. Python is not going to do a wrong output. You wrote code that did not operate the way you expected it to. All right, so I don't want to ramble on too much. Any super pertinent, because we're at like 2:20 now. Gee whiz. All right, sorry everybody. Hope everybody has been able to continue on with their work. Dax, I don't know if you're still here, but I think everybody's starting to drop. So make sure you're hitting the like button, subscribe button, notification bell. Make sure you are looking at the Discord server. We're getting a lot of traction over on the Discord server, and that is very important, because this community is is extremely important because of I want to be here for you guys, because I remember when I was learning and it was very challenging, especially being older, and kind of I knew what I knew, but I didn't know I could learn something new. I didn't know I could new. That was an awful way to say that. But all right. I'm probably going to drop here. We'll be back tomorrow. Don't know exactly what we're going to do. Maybe we'll redo the stadium seating challenge problem, and then we'll go from there. So, all right. All right, everyone. I will see you all tomorrow. Thank you as always. Bye, everybody.